Hello, everyone. My name is Tony Evans. It is a pleasure to be able to present an ISSP for Computer Gaming Technology Incorporated. An ISSP is an organizational policy that provides detailed, targeted guidance to instruct all members of the organization in the use of a resource, where technology will be a focus for this presentation. The ISSP will also be referred as the Fair and Responsible Use Policies. This ISSP will assure members of the organization that its purpose is not to establish a foundation for administrative enforcement or legal prosecution, but rather to provide a common understanding of the purposes for which an employee can and cannot use the resource. CGT Incorporated is the premier developer of games and entertainment software. CGT has become a leading force in the world of interactive entertainment software by combining cutting edge technology, enhancing graphics, and superior game design. There are currently no formal cybersecurity policies, standards, or guidelines identified or implemented. This ISSP will be effective because it will articulate the organization's expectations about how its technology based system should be used and documents how the technology based system will be controlled. Moving along to the statement of purpose, we will start with the scope and applicability. In this policy, the purpose is to provide detailed and targeted instruction to all members of the organization on how to use a resource, specifically technology related. CGT's issue specific security policies will be referred to as fair and responsible use policies, which are described the policy's intentions to regulate the appropriate use of games and entertainment software by employees, contractors, associates, and partners of the company. This ISSP will explain how the organization expects its technology based system to be used, provide an analysis of how the technology based system is controlled, and identify the process and authorities that provide it, defend the organization against liability for an employee's inappropriate or illegal use of the system, and require frequent updates. Definition of the technology address. We will go over some terms described in this policy. Computer describes any desktop, laptop, tablet, or server owned by CGT and is used to support its operations. Game software. Software designed to increase motivation by adding game rules and or competition activities. Entertainment software. Programs that run applications for amusement, leisure, or as a diversion. Computing programming. The process that professionals use to write code that instructs how a computer, application, or software program performs. Graphic design workstation. A workstation designed specifically for graphic design where the computer is set up for image manipulation, vector graphics, bitmap graphics, and other applications. Computer generated graphics. This is the creation of still, animated visual content with imaging software. Palo Alto Firewall identifies, controls, and inspects SSL encrypted traffic and applications. Network attached storage. This is a storage device that connects to a network and provide file access services to computer systems. File shares. The public or private sharing of computer data or space in a network with various levels of access privilege. Software as a service. A way of delivering applications over the internet as a service instead of installing and maintaining software. VPN, an encrypted connection over the internet from a device to a network. C, we will go over some responsibilities. CGT is led by a CEO and overseen by three executive directors, a chief operations officer, a chief business officer, and a chief information officer. The chief operations officer of CGT leads the gaming development division consisting of the development, testing, and client support departments. The development department handles new software development, the testing department handles in house games, and client support handles technical support problems from the end client for published games. CGT's chief business officer leads the company's business service division. This consists of several departments. The accounting department oversees the accounts payable, receivable, procurement, and general ledger functions. Human resources manages time, payroll, health and liability insurance, benefits, retired benefits, and hiring and terminating employees. Marketing coordinates with downstream software publishers for marketing purposes and manages public relations. The Chief Information Officer of CTG manages all internal IT functions, which include the Systems Operations Group, Networking Operations, and Server Operations. It is the responsibility of all authorized users to fulfill their assigned duties and to protect and safeguard CGT's technology and software. The CEO and all executive directors will be responsible for assigning privileges and setting up access for each authorized user based on their position. Each user will need to be responsible for interpreting this information one needs for access and the restrictions and conditions of that access. For authorized users, user access. CGT Systems Operation Group is responsible for the installation, maintenance, and updating of all hardware, software, and computing equipment. The Networking Operations Group is responsible for all networking functions, including the internetworking company, networks to the internet through the ISP, firewalls, VPNs, and DMZs. The Server Operations Group is responsible for the management and support of all corporate servers, including Active Directory, DNS, email, web, backup, and servers for all internal support functions. Fair and responsible use. All employees will access their networked applications over desktops through physical LAN connections. Mobile devices, laptops, and tablets must be kept in vehicles, lockers, briefcases, or purses and may only be used during authorized breaks. Wi-Fi will not be available at CTG, so devices other than desktop computers cannot connect to any server. Violation and or suspected fraudulent activities will lead to termination and investigation. Protection of privacy. CGT's access to server units is restricted to qualified users only. CGT will take reasonable precautions to protect all classified data transmitted, stored, or processed. And our prohibited uses. Disruptive use or misuse. Disruptive use or misuse will be any use that one performs with the technology for a different use other than CGT related purposes. Employees cannot access the corporate network from mobile devices, laptops, or tablets during business hours. Users must refrain from connecting personal devices to the network or using network attached storage. It is prohibited for all employees to use CGT's technology in any way that is not related to the work with the company. Criminal use. CGT will not tolerate criminal use of organizational technology, networks, and internet services, and will prosecute anyone for illegal activities involving the technology and will assist in prosecution should anyone use for criminal activities. Attempts to gain unauthorized access to CGT's technology or misuse privileges will be treated as criminal acts and prosecuted. Should a user violate this clause, CGT will facilitate and encourage criminal proceedings. Offensive or harassing materials. CGT promotes a work environment free from harassment and exposure to offensive materials. CGT prohibits all forms of harassment, and violators may face disciplinary action and legal penalties. Copyrighted, licensed, or other intellectual property. It is prohibited for CGT employees to use, install, duplicate, or distribute any technology associated with the organization without written consent from the organization. CGT owns all the software and technology it uses. Legal prosecution and disciplinary action may be taken against users who violate the policy. Other restrictions. No authorized user should allow other users access to their credentials, regardless of their authorization status, when it comes to the organizational technology. Systems management, management of stored materials. The IT department will manage security systems for the data center, internal networks, and applications. Corporate applications will have a secure intranet interface. A backup is made daily to the NAS of the server rack. CGT, Secured Server Data Center, Rack 1, will contain servers containing internal corporate IT applications. Rack 2 will house servers that contain development platforms, testing environments, and source code management software. Rack 3 will contain infrastructure servers supporting internal web, email, and IT operations. Employer monitoring. CGT will examine communications and data transmitted, stored, and processed by organizational technology for alleged violations of this policy, unlawful actions, security breaches, and other suspicious activities. Virus protection. CGT will guarantee users of organizational technology will have antivirus software installed and check any system, package, device, or server for viruses before use. A technical support call will be made to CGT if the protections do not function. Virus protection can not be adjusted or removed. Physical security. The facility and property will be secure with photo ID cards issued to all employees. Visitors to the facility will be coordinated through the corporate office and escorted on the premises at all times. A closed circuit video monitoring system will record all main highways and entrances to the building. The IT department's central data center monitors the racks on the NAS. Encryption. NAS data is backed up weekly to a cloud-based service as a single encrypted file, and applications are backed up to the daily racks NAS. Moving along to violations of policy. Procedures for reporting violations. All users of this policy are responsible for complying with this information and practices and support. Violations of this policy will be reported to management at CTG and disciplinary actions will be taken. Penalties for violations. Employees who violate this policy will be subject to legal actions and termination if they are found to be guilty. Violations will be reported to Human Resources for investigation. Policy management. Scheduled review of policy. It is the responsibility of CTG to revise and improve this policy annually. This policy will take effect October 2021, with the next review scheduled for October 2022. Procedures for modification. As part of CTG's policy review process, employees will be able to submit recommendations for policy revisions through an announcements drop box. Following the policy review, management will evaluate all comments and any modifications approved will be enacted. Limitations of liability. CGT accepts no responsibility for the conduct of anyone who violates this policy and commits a crime as a result. To protect CGT's interests, the company will cooperate in an investigation of any violations of this policy and will accept no liability for the conduct of any violator. Other disclaimers. Accordingly, this policy has been formulated on the basis of current local, state, and federal laws and regulations pertaining to and affecting organization technology as of October 21st, 2021. Changes to laws or regulations that might affect this policy will be communicated to CGT's legal advice during the annual review process. Here is a slide of our references that helped us assist in the formulation of the policy. Overall, I hope this presentation presented much insight and a structure as to how CGT should implement a policy in the organization. Again, my name is Tony Evans, and I thank you for your time.